The reason you're not confident in the things that you want to do is because you don't have genuine self-trust. You never feel that you have your own back. You second guess yourself, even for the smallest decision. So when it comes to big decisions like quitting your job or starting an online side hustle or even starting a business, then you never trust yourself to actually make that leap. And when you do end up taking these leaps, what happens is that because you don't genuinely have your own back, you actually self-sabotage. So that means that, let's say you quit your job to start a business, and then you decide that, you know what, I don't have my back and I don't trust myself to be able to do this. So I'm going to go back to an old job or to a job that I don't like and actually repeat these patterns over and over again. So in today's video, I thought I'd talk to you all about self-trust, and we're going to dissect the self-trust. I'm still working on this, but at the same time, I feel that I've overcome enough challenges when it comes to self-trust that I can actually share the things I've learned with you. So we're going to talk about what is self-trust and why is it important, why you don't have self-trust or the signs that you're not trusting yourself, and lastly, we're going to talk about how to build self-trust. So I hope that you're ready for this topic. What is self-trust and why is it important? Instead of defining this, let me tell you a story. Until 3 years ago, I was very indecisive. Whenever I shopped, I didn't know what color of shirt I should pick. Should I pick red or blue? And I would get to a point where I wouldn't pick anything. That just rippled into other areas of my life. So I didn't know what exercises to do when it comes to working out. I didn't know what food to eat. And I always ended up looking up things online in order to validate the things that I want to do. So in short, I didn't have self-trust. And when it came to the big decisions where I needed to kind of change my life, I wanted to start creating content online and I didn't know what to talk about. I didn't know what topics to choose or what platforms to use. And there were just so many things that I didn't know. And because I didn't have self-trust, I didn't have the faith in me to just start and actually figure things out along the way. I became so paralyzed that I almost had inner crisis or a quarter life crisis, as they would say, where you don't know who you are, you don't know who you want to become, you don't know what to do with your life, that I felt like my world came crumbling down, and it's just a very, very bad feeling that I wouldn't want anyone to experience that same thing. Fast forward to 3 years later, I'm here, I have quit my staff job, I became a travel nurse, I've started a freelance writing business, I've started a YouTube channel, and now I'm talking to you about self-trust. So it's a whole up and downs that have gotten me here, and now I'm ready to talk to you about this. So just from that story that I told you, to the core of it, in my opinion, self-trust is really about having your own back or having so much faith in yourself, even though you don't know where you're going to end up or how life is going to turn out, that you just keep going no matter what. So self-trust is about trusting that you can do things, trusting that you'll figure things out, and trusting that you have it within yourself, that you're capable enough to do things with the things that you already have. And at the end of it, you'll be able to build a life that you truly love. And without the self-trust that you need, you're always going to feel stuck in your life or in a situation that you don't like. And that is not what we're about in this channel. And just briefly, why is this so important? Why is trusting yourself so important? To me, it's because your instinct is basically your inner compass in life. This is the thing that you know to your heart or to your core. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So if you don't have self-trust, you don't know where you're going to go, you don't know who you want to become, and you don't know the things that you need to be doing, or essentially your purpose if you really want to get spiritual about it. But it just means that you'll never feel confident enough to actually go for the things that you want in life. And living without self-trust is exhausting. It is exhausting physically, mentally, and spiritually to actually not know what to do and not have faith that things will work out, because you're just always second guessing yourself. And I really don't want that for you. And I've seen other people live through it where everything that they do, whether what they're eating or what they need to be doing in life or what they need to be doing as a job or a side hustle, there's always just so much second guessing that they never actually start. Honestly, I don't want that for you. So that's why we're talking about this. And so let's go into the second topic of why don't you trust yourself? So at the core of it, you don't have self-trust trust because you have low self-esteem or you have low self-worth. That just means that you don't see the value in your capabilities. You don't see the value in yourself. You don't think that you being here is enough for you to actually do things. You feel that there has to be a reason, or you need to feel, or someone needs to validate your presence or the things that you're doing in order for you to do the thing that you want. Essentially, you believe to yourself that you have nothing to offer, that you have no purpose in this life, or that it's hard to explain, but essentially it's just like at the core of it, you just don't believe in yourself, is I guess what I'm trying to say, is you don't believe that you're supposed to be doing something. But of course, this isn't true. This is a limiting belief that we all experience, that I have experienced. Of course, it takes a lot of work, of inner work, to look inward and figure out what is it that you have to offer to the world or to yourself even. And it takes a lot of work, but you might not realize that but you have definitely touched someone's life. So for example, let's say you're going on a hike and you decide to say good morning to someone, and just that act of saying good morning has made someone feel better because you have brightened their mood. And now that person is going to go about their day feeling that mood of, I feel good about this because that person said good morning or they smiled at me. And then that person is now going to interact with everyone in their lives with that same bright mood. And it just kind of ripples into other people of that simple interaction that you have decided to give just because you felt smiling or saying good morning to someone. And it's so small, but it's powerful. I want you to think about all your interaction this way, that, you know what, might be such a small thing, but I bet at the grand scheme of things, it actually is something big, or it ripples into other people's lives without you even realizing it. And that is so powerful. And right now, obviously, you can't feel that, you don't see that. So instead of trusting yourself that you have something to offer, that you are valuable enough just as you are without needing to do other things, you actually let other people decide for you because you don't have faith in yourself. And that essentially comes from not having self-confidence, which, like I've said, has to do with your self-esteem, self-worth, and just feeling like you're not good enough. So that is something that we're going to touch on later, is how do you actually build self-trust. So now let's talk about the signs that you don't trust yourself. So these are things that I have personally experienced myself. Number one is you seek external validation. So like I've said, I used to look up a lot of things, and I still do sometimes. And then when I catch myself doing it, I ask myself, okay, why am I doing this? So for example, I got a haircut done, and then I had to look at Pinterest to kind of validate this thing that, oh, short hair looks good. And it wasn't enough for me that I love having short hair and that it makes me feel good and it makes me feel powerful, etc. I had to look it up and see how other people carrying themselves with short hair. And that's just not the life that we want to live. We don't want to be seeking external validation to make us feel good. You want to be able to feel good within yourself, trusting that every decision that you make, whether that's buying the color of a jacket or painting your nails in a different color or getting a haircut, it's something that you want to be so sure. It's so small, but again, every big decision starts with small things. So seeking external validation is one sign that you don't trust yourself. Second, you just feel general insecurity about yourself. You don't love the way that you dress up, no matter how much money you spend on clothes, on the things that you see online, on trendy clothes. You just don't feel comfortable in your own skin. You're always seeking other people's opinions on the way you dress, the way you look, the way that you do things, the things that you buy. And it's just, honestly, it's kind of exhausting, and I feel for you. But that is one sign that you don't trust yourself, is that you just feel insecure about yourself. So the third thing is that you feel indecisive, even for the smallest thing. Like I've said, choosing what to eat or choosing what to wear, all of these small things, if you can't even decide on them and have faith that you are so sure about your decision, how do you think it's going to be when you decide to quit your job, when you decide to take a bigger leap than moving to a different country or changing partners or relationship and all these? And once you actually make the decisions, you always feel like you made the wrong choice, choice or that you didn't choose the right thing, which in reality is something that you perceive to be. So whether the decision is wrong or choice is completely irrelevant. So for example, when I quit my emergency nursing job for the longest time, probably for a year, is when I really felt regret for leaving, because it wasn't my personal decision. I had so much influence that I always wondered at the back of my mind, should I have left? Should I have really left? I feel like I could have done something better. I could have done this and so many things that I ended up having to go back in order to realize that, okay, it was a good thing that I left. And you don't want to be in that position where you're just always wondering for years and years whether you made the right decision. So that's another thing when it comes to not trusting yourself. It's just you always have this anxiety or feel that you're missing out on things or on experiences because you weren't confident enough in the choice that you made. The fourth sign is that you're settling. So whether it's jobs, people, or relationships, sometimes you just know in your heart that this is not it. You feel that there's something else out there. You feel that you could deserve better. And that's actually a good thing, because at your deepest core, you know that you are valuable enough, but it hasn't come to your conscious mind yet that you actually do deserve this thing. But when you don't trust yourself and you don't listen to your instinct, essentially, you basically force yourself into situations that you might not necessarily love or that actually might stop you from growing. So for example, if you're in a relationship where your partner is holding you back because they don't support your dreams, they don't support the job that you have or the career that you have, you don't trust yourself enough that you can find a better partner that supports your dreams or the life that you truly believe that you deserve to have. And what ends up happening is that you get stuck in the situation, and then you're always wondering to yourself, I wish I could do better. I wish I'm somewhere else. And that's not a feeling that you ever want to be in, where you always constantly wish you're somewhere else. And the fifth sign that I have personally experienced when it comes to self-trust is reversing back to old patterns. So I've personally noticed this about myself, is that when I make big decisions, I tend to kind of put myself back in that situation where, oh, I'm good here, instead of, what would be really cool to experience is that if I did this other thing, that's super scary. But because I don't have enough self-trust or trust in myself that I can make that other thing happen, I just put myself in situations back where it's okay. It's kind of related to the settling, but just the fact that you are reversing back to your old patterns is really the main key here, is that you don't trust yourself enough. So for example, when I quit my emergency nursing job and then I did travel nursing, I put myself back in a situation in emergency nursing, which is a little bit kind of a toxic environment, because you're always with sick people, the people are grumpy around you, and it's just always stressful and chaotic. But the thing is, I had already left that environment, and then because I wasn't sure that I could make it without it, I put myself back in that same situation. And now I'm wondering to myself, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep putting myself back in situation I already know I don't like? And at the end of it, that's just because I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself to do something completely different and know that I will be okay with it. And of course, I had to recognize it and actually kind of be honest with myself and say that, okay, had enough. And I'm so grateful that I have experienced this again so that I can actually learn the lesson that I need to learn and actually move on. And sometimes that needs to happen. Sometimes you need to put yourself back in that situation so that you can actually really learn what you need to learn, because maybe for some reason I haven't really learned what I needed to learn. But that is another sign that you don't have trust within yourself. Okay, so now for the best part is that how do you actually build self-trust? How do you actually learn how to have faith in yourself no matter what, so that you can actually build the life that you truly, truly want? The first thing is that because self-trust is a self-worth issue, that means you need to be working on your self-worth. This means that you need to be learning how to increase your self-esteem. It's a hard work. I'm not saying it's easy, but this is where you start to think about how you see yourself and how can you improve the way that you see yourself. If right now you don't see yourself as beautiful, you don't see yourself as confident, you don't see yourself as wealthy or abundant, then it might be time to work on that and see why exactly you're feeling this way and why don't you feel good enough. Because at the end of it, you can do a lot of the habits or tricks and life hacks that you see online, but if you don't work on the way that you see yourself, on the way that you love yourself, then it's not going to matter. You can wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, but if you don't don't believe that you actually are capable of doing that, then you're not going to do it. Or you're just going to reverse into your old patterns of maybe waking up at like 12 p.m. or 12 noon and not being productive for the whole day. So that's the first thing. And the way that you can work on yourself really is, one, you can hire a mentor or a coach. That's what I did. I'm working with a coach now again, but before that, I've always hired a coach for myself. But I understand that can be pretty expensive. Or you can do therapy. I haven't personally done therapy, but I've heard really, really good things about therapy from other YouTubers and other people. And then the third thing is that if you really don't want to spend money, just listen to podcasts and watch videos and actually do the prompts that you might feel and start journaling about them. So for example, you can journal on things that are coming up for you. So some questions that you can start with when it comes to learning about more your self-esteem or self-worth is questions like, who am I? What do I like? And what don't I like about myself and why? Always ask yourself why in different situations. Like, why am I scared of starting a business? Why am I scared of quitting my job? Why am I scared of posting stuff online? Why is it that I'm scared of? And at the end of it, what you're going to realize is you have fear of being judged and fear of failure, or maybe fear of success. Because once you have fear of success, which is a whole different topic that we can talk about later on, is that once you're at the top, you might think that being successful means being alone. And who wants to be alone? I don't want to be alone. So if you have fear of success, you're going to do everything that you can to not be successful, which is not the whole point of this. We want to be successful. We want to achieve things that we truly want in life, but also lift others along the way, because you don't have to be at the top alone. You can lift others with you, so you can have other successful people with you, so it's not lonely. So the second thing is getting to know yourself. And this is kind of connected to the first point, which is to work on your self-esteem or self-worth. It's just that when you get to know yourself, you learn who you are as a person, what you like and what you don't like. And the way you can get to know yourself is, besides journaling that we've already spoke about, you can go on solo dates, you can go on solo trips, you can really learn how to be by yourself and keep yourself company and figure out what makes you happy by yourself. I used to be the person where I could not go anywhere without my partner. And this was maybe 5-6 years ago. We've been together for 11 years now. And now I value my being alone so much that sometimes I really have to ask for that alone time or me time, even though we're together, because we're together 24/7. When you live with your partner, you're going to be together 24/7. You're going to eat together. You're going to travel together. You're going to go for morning walks together. So you really have to learn how to be by yourself and learn how to be happy without someone else, because it's so important. I just feel that it's the most relationship you'll ever have, because it's the thing that's going to actually propel you to actually learn how to build your life, if that makes sense. So do the things that you say you would and actually commit to them. Imagine yourself to be the bestest friends that you have and somebody who you never want to let down. That if you say, hey, I would like to take myself on a date, and actually take yourself on a date. I would love to take myself and buy myself flowers and actually go get yourself some flowers. Essentially, go date yourself is what I'm trying to say here, and spend time with yourself. Learn how to commit to things that you say you would. I don't know how else to say it. So the fifth thing that you need to do is learn how to lean into your fears. Right now, I'm working with a coach who's helping me regarding my fears on showing up on social media. And I told her that I want to be someone who's super confident on social media. And to me, confidence was someone who didn't have fear or who didn't have self-doubt. But she said that actually, if you have self-confidence, it means that you have fear, because you wouldn't feel confident if you didn't have the fear. And I was like, oh, I guess that's true. So just because you have fear doesn't mean you're not self-confident or you don't trust yourself. So the thing that makes you self-confident is when you actually do the thing despite of your fear. So if you have fear of social media or showing up on social media or starting a business, actually going through the business is what builds self-confidence and therefore also self-trust. So the way you build self-trust is actually do things that scare you in very short, in summary, I guess. And this doesn't have to mean that you have to quit your job tomorrow or that you have to do big scary things. It can be so small that for you it's big. For example, writing a blog post was something that was really scary for me at the beginning, and I did it over and over again, but it doesn't mean that the fear ever went away. Uploading YouTube every single week is something scary, but it doesn't mean that I'm gonna stop posting it just because it's scary. It's by doing the thing that actually helps you build the thing that you want, whether that is self-trust, self-confidence, self-worth, self-love, all of these things that you want, or for you, in order for you to trust yourself, to have faith in yourself, it actually comes down to just taking action despite the fear. So I would love to know if you have had any experience when it comes to self-trust, or if you don't trust yourself, or what other things that you think you might be going through when it comes to trusting yourself. And let me down in the comments below. I would love to read your story, and I really hope that this video has resonated with you. I hope that you be kind to yourself and you take it one day at a time.